Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Super Mario Maker 2 with me, Get Daved. So, we're going to do a little bit of level design in this one. It's pretty new territory for me as a Let's Player, and I honestly haven't seen much of stuff like this. So we're going for a Bob Ross Joy of Painting vibe, even more so than I always try. So if you're down for it, that's what you're going to get, whether or not you're down for it. So, here we go. Now I've already gotten a little bit of a head start here. And what I want to do, there we go, that's about perfect, is design a level, because this game has co-op, design a level for people with varying, like different skill levels. So the big shtick behind it is going to be just a harder path down below and an easier path up above. You know, I wanted to have it. Let's just put it here. So that's guiding the player up top. I like to use coins as like guides a lot of the time, or just to fill out empty terrain. And if you make a jump, so players who aren't as good, they don't know the secret, which is in Mario games, you don't push the run button, you let go of it. You hold it down all the time, except when you're releasing it just for bursts. And that's the rule of thumb. Players who are newer, they generally just don't use it when really, I mean, you never let go of that thing. Except to like fire a fireball or something. So, we've got a couple things. We use the trails to make sure that these coins, they line up for someone who, you know, is not running. We get a power-up for them, and then we gate everyone here. So if you're playing with a friend and they want to take the other path, I mean, you could both take the top path as well, but we're going to put some coins, top and bottom, some red coins that you have to get. And so someone has to come here and hit the switch. And this is just the start we've gotten to. And we'll kick things off with a more difficult obstacle. And I've got these little enemies trapped just as like a another indicator of difficulty. We've got a harder enemy sort of depicted here. We've got an easier one up there. And you know what? I'm going to go one step further. And I'm actually going to gate off. No, we'll leave this as a hint that easy times or easier times are available up here. Now, I have to use the controller to do all the level making in a Let's Play. I can't use the stylus because then that would undock the Switch. So I'm going to have a few gaffes here and there. You know, the usual. We've got this as another way to make it a little bit easier. You know, I don't know. If there's any difference beyond the aesthetics here. Let's take a look. Doesn't seem like it. Well, that's really neat. We'll get into it. I was thinking of using those as like a background color sort of thing. So maybe we'll use the structural ones as scaffolding. Like actual scaffolding. I think I basically just said that sentence entirely backwards. Okay, so the first thing I want to do... Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Is have an easy challenge for the player up here. So I think... they've already had a chance at a power-up, but I think we'll just plunk a Goomba in an easily slidable spot. So let's see how that works out for them. And again, they should, you know, let's maybe a little tight on the reaction time, but maybe we'll move them back a few steps. You know what? That's not a good... Oh, goodness. Heaven help me. Alright, this will be more like what happens in the level. Oh, Goomba. And the thing is, the player has options. Okay, they can stomp, they can run away. They can run over here and just run away forever. And now, I'm gonna come up with a more difficult challenge. For a person down here. I think, for starters, we'll throw down a red Koopa. Oh, we can embiggen him. That won't be necessary. So a red Koopa really carefully placed there. And you know what? I have a pretty specific jump in mind here. So let's just get the trails going. Excellent. He's doing his job already. Alright, that's the jump I want to encourage the player to do. So I think if we do that, that should maybe provide a little bit of a hint. Whoop. Close enough. Also, I like, this is also intentional. I want to have a pit right here. But again, I don't like stages that are trying to kill the player. So what we'll do is we'll have this here. And what that means is if the player overshoots, they'll have enough room to work with that they can try wall kicking their way out of it. So let's test that theory out as well. And there's going to be a lot of... I pulled out of it on purpose. Context. Alright. You got the better of me that time. There's going to be a lot of... Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that feels alright. So, was gonna gate some red coins, top and bottom. So let's start with that. And you know what, we gotta cap things for this guy. I actually had the sky theme originally, but I decided that, you know, this is about like going into constricted areas, so it really is more appropriate for us to have an underground theme. And one thing I wanted to have early on as well, in the same spot we'll have like some spikes or something as a obstacle there. Let's go up top and let Top Mario take a stab. Whoops, I gotta play it the right way. Alright. Low precision. I jumped too early, landed too early. So let's challenge the person just a little bit. Definitely can drop that one. But our barrier has gotten thinner. Let's fix that as well. Because our guy below, they're going to have ample room to maneuver for the most part. Like here, it's obviously a little on the tight side. Alright. And here, I want to have a specific obstacle planned. Or maybe obstacle is not the right word. I want to have a way for the person up top to drop power-ups down to the other person. So we'll put that as just a little reminder for myself for now. We'll come back to it. Now, if the guy from below bumps this, a mushroom could come out and bop back and forth there, and it'll be nice and safe and contained, but otherwise it'll fall into peril for the other guy. Where are my vanilla spikes? Ah, here we go. There we go. A simple platforming challenge. All right. Not a very fancy roof, but I don't think we need much more than that for now. All right. Okay, power-up time. Drop it in this one. So again, if top player is feeling good, they can stomp down, and that'll deploy the mushroom over here. And, you know, the players... We got to think about a one-player situation as well. All right. That's kind of a boring segment. Maybe, what can we do to spice that up? I do want to do something with music note blocks. Now is not the time, though. You know what? Maybe it would be cool if pink coin were in there. Oh, you can't put a pink coin in there. Interesting. I learned something new, folks. Well, we'll just have a pink coin right here. Right here. That's maybe a little too close to the power-up element. We'll migrate those a little bit. Alright, let's see if we can find something interesting for our fellow down below. Also, if I could choose, I would rather have munchers up here, so... There we go. Isn't that... Are the munchers more fun looking than the spikes? I think so. And give you a chance to respond. I was thinking about having some sort of muncher grouping here as well. So... if we move them underneath, it would really encourage the person up top to hit it. You know what, actually, let's change how we're doing this here. So let's go through the hypothetical. First time through, the mushroom drops down from below. If it goes up high, no big deal. If it drops down from below, it's going to start going to the right. This player might not be ready for that. And so what I want to do is I kind of like, no, we'll erase those ones. I like a puzzle like this where if you want to get your power up, you got to make a jump for it. Now we got to think this through carefully. So we don't want them to head bonk. So we got to make sure in that moment they have lots of room for a nice jump. They have access to the little twirl thing, so that should be pretty good. Whoops. Yeah, lots of room for that jump. And they can't make it back, that should be no big deal. So I'm actually kind of gating the progress forward. So their power-up won't be lost. If they don't... And let's just think about this without the power-up now. They just have a difficult jump to make. That's okay. Maybe we do something like this. Is that too trolly? Let's see. No, not too bad. I think you'd feel pretty cool doing that. And you can get back. Man, that spin move helps so much. In zero gravity levels, or low gravity levels, you can basically fly with that. And we're gonna need lots more room to work with here. I intend to do this for a couple episodes, so again, if it's not your cup of tea, it won't be around forever, but I hope this is a relaxing thing, and maybe you can fall asleep to it or something. I always view that as, I don't know, a good thing. Not enough of that in my books. If I want something to keep me up at night, there's lots of candidates for that. Alright, now let's go back up to player up here. They've slid down, you know, bumped into a Goomba. A little bit of a dry segment here, but let's give them some coins. I'm going to give you a little bit of a Get Daved game design rant real quick, and it's this idea of inputs per second from the player. They talk about it in like StarCraft, where it's like, you know, how many times do you click the mouse? You know, good players do more. I think if we put a thwomp there, that'll also send the message. And, you know, good players will have more clicks per, or actions per second, or what have you. Oh. We'll have to go around. Alright, perfect. Whee! Yeah, there's enough. Yeah, lots of time. Okay. Now, normally those get tracked with twitchy games, but I think a really important thing in games is to have... how do we look at it? You can think of just holding the walk button, like holding up. In a lot of 3D games, you know, you basically hold up and maybe a run button at the same time for a really significant amount of the experience, and you just do that. Now, I don't think that's great. I think that's where a lot of boredom comes from. So you can think of like a flow channel graph where the more they have to do in a given, you know, time unit of gameplay, let's say a minute, the more engaging it becomes. And if you go too high, it goes into stress. And if you go too low, it goes into boredom. And that's how most flow channel diagrams work. So think about applying that to our Mario stage now. Well, you don't want to just be running or just doing the same motion over and over and over. So we'll just have just a little tiny thing, like a coin that you jump to get. That's more fun than just walking sideways. And then a coin that's sort of telegraphing the ideal jump and, I don't know, adds like a little bit of bait on the hook, so to speak. I don't know, that's the sort of stuff I think of. That's important. And different games handle that different ways. Like Breath of the Wild, I think one of the most brilliant things about it is if you consider running somewhere in Breath of the Wild, a lot of the time, yeah, you're just holding down the run button, but there's so many things that are just the right level of importance scattered throughout the world. Like, you know, an acorn. And you're sort of always scanning for these things. And some of them are basically useless, like an acorn. And some of them are really, really good. And you're always just sort of casually looking for these things. And it gives your eyes sort of an interaction per second as you run. And then your stamina gauge you're sort of managing, so you can't just hold down the run button. So you've got a little bit of a really low stakes resource management game you're playing as well, and that's how it's done. So anyway, we'll use coins in a similar sort of role. Got another jump, so let's reward that guy, and let's do something like that. That puts a little punctuation mark around that jump. Okay, up here, I think this is a good time for an enemy. Again, this is the easy track. Drybone's too crazy. Let's throw Angry Sun tormenting them constantly. You can take any level and turn it into trouble by adding Angry Sun. You know what? I think we'll try... We'll make a little well. Make a little newbie well. Yeah, the other player needs height there. Okay. So this is just going to keep things contained for a little bit. And let's give them something to think about here. We'll give them a red Koopa, so a little bit of a medium difficulty enemy. Throw 4 Goombas down there. So now they have the chance to create a to deal with a problem of their own creation. Pattern the coins a little differently in this spot. Let's see what this is like. Alright. Don't hold down the run button. Okay, some illusion of danger. Yeah, that's not too bad, hey? Oh! Seems about right. I think we'll give a little bit more ceiling room in that spot. Might as well make it symmetrical. And you know what? We'll give a little bit more room there as well. All right. Got a lovely, pretty easy challenge there. This person has just come off of a pretty big jump. So I think let's follow it up with another harrowing jump. Because in theory, they just got a power-up, so they should be set for a little while. This easy player, they're going to need one after this as well. So let's just put a little reminder for ourselves. And then I think we'll let the path rejoin. And then they can commit to the real trial after that. So players had a chance with a power-up. Fireflower is an easier power-up to use than the propeller hat. I actually really like the propeller hat, kind of on the grounds that it's a little bit terrible. Like, it's not really terrible, but it's a little bit. Like, the trajectory is just not quite useful, or as useful as it could be. Like, the cape has a useful trajectory. The propeller hat it's like a little too vertical, and you come down at a really slow speed, and oh, it's lovely. All right, let's see how the Gestalt. Oh, I love it. Gotta remember that Koopa will be a little bit lower. No! Alright. Alright, so I want to have them jump over something, and we'll put a little timing puzzle in there too, maybe. Maybe you have to squeak under a thwomp at the end. Okay, this is where we're gonna go for the land. I did have a spin in there, which I think is always... Like, you know, you don't want to force the player to have to spin, I don't think. I think that's a sign that the timing might be a little too tight, because you gotta remember... Do we put a Mega Thwomp? No, too big relative to the space. He's gonna need somewhere to run after that. Alright, we'll put a little bit of... Maybe we put a Thwomp at the start as well. The Thwomp will have here they will have the side effect of encouraging them to run. Or that'll set up a timing component at the start, more likely. No, that's gonna screw up their run though, because they're gonna stop and then, you know... Want them focusing on the jump at hand. I think what we'll do is we're going to put a pipe, and we'll have a piranha in there. A fireball breathing piranha. Add a little bit of pressure. Where'd you go, piranha? You know what, now that I think about it, maybe they aren't available in this theme. Oh no, there he is. But... Alright, let's go check that I've got the right one. Yeah, perfect. Alright, but that's not very harrowing. Alright, what's the... There we go. There we go. Have one on the receiving end as well. Put a little pressure. Again, it's a high-stakes jump, so... Gotta award it with some coins. Oof. And what do you think? Do we add... I want a little bit more adding pressure from below. Could have a reverse thwomp. Oh, we've got just the mechanic. Is that going to be... No, I don't know how I feel about having him in an underground stage, but... See, I mean, he's technically available, but what else do we got? Could have a Bonsai Bill shoot up. That would screw up the person up in the top half of the screen as well. And they got bills to pay, they got mouths to feed. Yeah, this is what I was thinking of originally. Yeah, we could have a grinder. Gonna need a track. Well, we could have a static grinder. I like that. Just a grinder casually sitting there. I think I'd rather have him going back and forth on a small track, though. Oh, that's an open-ended track now. Whoops, my mistake, everyone. Alright, let's see how this looks. That's a little bit better.